Engine and transmission has been removed from our 1968 520 Datsun pickup truck. And this is why, because I completely disassembled and inspected our little engine so that I could order some parts. I sure do hope you guys can guess what this video is going to be about. I am your host, the one and only infamous Kentucky Yankee. Let's drain the transmission fluid. Oh. Certainly not the best scenario. She has some water in her. Unique spacer on the alternator. Almost looks like a plumbing fitting. The engine I'm not too concerned about, but this transmission, it had a lot of water in it, and I'm a little bit worried. I've spotted something cool. That's pretty neat. Look, made in Japan. Wonder if it's the original clutch. I may be prematurely excited, but I think I found a little something that may make my day. The engine in this truck is supposed to be a 1.3 liter, it's like 67 horsepower. I'm looking on the block, it says J016726. I almost think this is a J16, which would be 80 horsepower. I'm not positive. I'll do a little research and get back with you. According to the shop manual, that number on the block tells that this engine is a J16. It's supposed to have a J13 in it. The J13 is a 67 horsepower. This is an 80 horsepower. So I'm all excited. But now I see something else that's questionable. Why, if it's a J16 engine, does it have the number 1300 on the side of the block? So we need to get in this engine, do some measurements, and figure out which one it is. One thing I've been curious about, if you saw the previous video on this truck, when I removed the oil pan, the oil pump pickup was laying on the bottom, and it had been repaired with like a piece of hose. But the engine doesn't show any indication that it was starved for oil so far, so I wonder what happened there and why they did that repair. Leave a comment, let me know what you think happened there. Valve cover, intake and exhaust manifold. One thing I noticed about this truck, kind of weird, is nothing fits the bolts very well. Like a 13 doesn't fit, and neither does a 1/2 inch. They're both sloppy, which is weird. And you can't step down to a 12. Odd. And every bolt's like that on this thing. Fuel pumps right here, might as well get that while we're at it. Something I've never seen before, this fan is 2 pieces, so that's cool. Water pump. Just 3 bolts. Oh, and a mess. I noticed this earlier, see that right there? That's like a freeze plug, like some kind of replacement junk, I think. This is what a normal freeze plug looks like. This looks factory, but I'm not familiar with it, not sure what's going on with that one. But this one is a concern, let me show you why. This is the back side, and it looks like somebody stuffed a big piece of foam or something in there and against the sleeve. I don't know what the heck's going on there. This funny looking nut is for a hand crank, so you could start this truck just with a hand crank. You wouldn't need a starter. Unfortunately, you cannot access the nut on this truck, but the older models you could. We'll probably go back together with Loctite instead of using all these fold-over retainers. Interesting surprise, it's a chain, and I thought it would be a gear-driven setup. I matched up these 2 dots right here. This is the number 1 cylinder, and I made sure the piston was all the way up on top dead center. Then I looked inside the distributor to see if it was pointing at number 1 spark plug, and it's not. It's 180 degrees out. Now I've rotated the engine 180 degrees, so this dot's here, and this one's straight up here. Now the rotor is pointing towards number 1 spark plug wire. The reason for doing this is just to get myself familiar with this engine and to know with confidence when I put it back together how it goes. Won't have to worry about the timing being off. Oil pressure sending unit. That's crazy. Look at that. It was just so swelled up, all the rubber. We'll put the correct freeze plug in when we rebuild it. This retains the camshaft. This will have to be repaired. I think maybe I have another one on the other truck. If not, we'll weld it up. If you will notice her right paw, you will see that she has been digging at the seat. I'm keeping these in order, front to back, push rods. I'm glad I'm able to show you that there is no damage done to the pistons, and I'll show you a minute on the head, the valves. There's no damage done when we freed this engine up. Remember, we tapped a little bit on the valve with the piston. There's not even a mark on the piston from doing that. As long as you go easy and just easily tap it up and down, you're not going to hurt anything. We do have cylinder damage. I'll show you when we get a little further in. I did measure the bore on these cylinders, and in fact this engine is a 1.3. Unfortunately, I wish it was a 1.6, but it may be the original engine of the truck. So 67 horsepower, that's what we got. Cylinder head looks in good shape at first glance. Later, when I finish the disassembly, we will take the valves out and take a peek at them. Should be some lifters under here. I should also mention solid lifters, not hydraulic. Woof! We got a lot of cleaning to do. Take the piston and rods out. First piston out. Is this supposed to be like this, or is it cracked? I would assume it's supposed to be like that. This bearing you've already seen. This is the other side to it, and looks a little more worn than the other one. They are standard size, so the crank hasn't been turned or anything yet. As far as I know, I'll check the rest of them, but hopefully they're all the same, all standard. When you remove the cap, be sure and put it back exactly how it was, on the same exact spot, using the same rod, all that kind of stuff. These are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, so if they're not marked, you need to mark them. This bearing looks better than the first one. A little bit of wear, not bad. Apparently the pistons are made with that cutout. We'll give you a little different view. Why not? Line on the piston goes towards the lifters. Let's see if we can yoink the crank out. These also have to be put back the same exact way they were removed. If there ain't one stubborn one, it ain't no fun, is it? Oi! Not an approved method, but I'm gonna just easy tap it. This is a thrust bearing, which makes the crank, this way, in and out, holds it in place. This is a close-up view of our worst main bearing. I think the reason for all the wear is because that's in the back of the engine where the clutch is. So I'd say there's a little pressure on it back there. The other two bearings look pretty good. As far as our cam goes, it should just slide out like that. It's not doing it for some reason. I need to check, make sure everything's clean or mess with it. I'll do that later. The cylinders look pretty good. This one right here has surface rust in it, which is not good. But they don't have much of a ridge in any of them. All the cylinders look good except that one. I'm not going to disassemble the whole head right now, but we'll take a look at the two worst valves. This is so you can change valve seals while the head and everything's still on the car. The way this tool works, it has a magnet inside of it. When you hit it, the magnet catches the keeper. There's the valves and they don't look bad at all. And the seats don't look bad either. That's it. Let me order some parts and get all these things cleaned up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. I did also start some bodywork on the hood. Check that out. Getting her all straightened up. Looking good. Real good. I'm quite pleased.